What is happening, guys? Welcome. Sorry, I got some cobwebs there. Happy Saturday. Cheers, all. I'm going to be drinking this today. Let me adjust that. There, that's better. Sierra Nevada Peachy Little Thing IPA. I bought this yesterday, went out with some friends, drank like 4 of them, pretty good. I get a couple left. So, why not Saturday night, get on here and say hey. How you guys doing? I'm Craig. This is the Spirit of Vinyl. Hope you guys all had a great week. I thought I'd jump on here real quick. I got a few things I want to show and some stuff I want to talk about. So I'm just kind of, chilling and so on. So last Saturday, me and the wife took a trip and we went to Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is only about 45 minutes to an hour away from where I live. Yeah, around there. And we headed out to go to this place called Flealand. And Flealand is this flea market that's huge on the inside. They got outside. It's a lot, And I know there's a guy there who has records. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll go to Flealand. Decide how much money we're going to spend each or whatever. We decided we each got like $150 to spend at Flealand. So I go in. And I find a record booth, but it's not necessarily the same one. And I start looking, and it's a lot better than the one I saw there last year. Last year, the guy had this booth, but it was just scattered everywhere. There was no rhyme or reason to it. There wasn't any, genres to look through or whatever. So you're going through a box, and you're finding country music and classic rock and classical and, whatever, all just whatever's in the box. So this guy had it all separated, and I talked to him about the guy I saw last year, and he's like, that guy died, and we bought his collection, and we moved it over here to this aisle instead, and so he's not there anymore. We bought the collection, we put it in order, and so on, and, So I flipping through, and I figured, I got $150 to spend, but I'm not going to spend it all in one shot because it's the first booth I saw, and there's multiple booths, and I want to look around to see if there's any other records. As I'm there, my wife texts me, hey, I saw records over here in aisle, C or whatever. I'm like, I'm already finding records in aisle A or wherever I was. So anyway, I'm flipping through and I looking through, find a couple and show you what I got there and kind of how that story went. First thing I picked up and Tommy Bolin, Private Eyes. I have his other record, whose name escapes me right now. I bought because, Steve at A is for Alice, B is for Bob was a big Tommy Bolin fan. So I bought that. And I saw this there. He wanted like $8 for it. There, has the the cover, and I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. So there's the cover, not in bad shape. A little bit of ring wear right there. There's the back cover. It's on the Columbia label. Inner sleeve is still there. Not split or anything. A little tiny split at the bottom here. There's the lyrics. This is from 1976, OG Press. Great record. I listened to it. It's weird to me. I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, this last song on side 1, when it ends, it's killer. This says it's called Post Toasty right here, right? It says there's 3 songs on side 1, but if you look, and the label says there's 3 songs on side 1, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but I'm looking at that, and these grooves, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, unless this fade up. There's a gap there, so I'm thinking it's a different song. I don't know if it's Post Toasty or not. I've only played it the one time. But the end of side 1, the guitar work that's happening on there, Tommy Bolin is a hell of a guitar player. And honestly, until I started watching Steve, I didn't even know who Tommy Bolin was, honestly, at the time. So yeah, I got that. And then while I was looking at that, he's like, oh, I got some new records in. Are you interested in any of these? And I'm like, yeah, I'll take. He's like, I haven't priced them yet. I'm like, I'll take these 2, depending on what your price is. So this is one of them, In Excess Kick. This is a 1987 press. So basically an original press, you know, it's not a repress. Man, that's in there tight. I just can get that out. It's a gatefold. It has the inner sleeve. There's the gatefold inner sleeve. It's on Atlantic. It's got the INXS kick on the one side. It's got the inner sleeve is in good shape. The record was in excellent condition. And when I went over for that and this next one, like how much do you want, folks? He hadn't priced them yet. My next one, Judas Priest, Ram It Down. This one is also a 1988 press, so an original pressing of this. And he was like, I'll give you, there's on Columbia also, and it also has the inner sleeve. This is the one between Turbo and Painkiller. Really good record, not quite as heavy as Painkiller, but definitely heavier than Turbo is. And he's like, I'll give you the INXS and the Judas Priest for 30 bucks. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. You know, 15 bucks a piece. I come home, put them in Discogs. They're $25, $35 records. So already I'm ahead. And then I picked this. This is Hell Yeah's album, Welcome Home, from 2019. This is the final Hell Yeah album. It was released after Vinnie Paul's death, but he had recorded on it. It's the 2019 press, gatefold. There's a picture of Vinnie behind the drums there. Download code, inner sleeve. It was basically brand new. I mean, it didn't have shrink wrap on it, but I don't think this thing had ever been played. I want to say he was asking 20 bucks for it. So basically, I had this for 20, and I had the two for 30. And then I had the Tommy Bolin album, and I put the Tommy Bolin album back because I was at, you know, I was at like 50 bucks already out of the 150 I wanted to spend. And he's like, well, what'd you put back? So I'm like, oh, I put back this Tommy Bolin album over there. And he's like, tell you what, I'll give you all four of them for 55 bucks. So basically, Tommy Bolin, he charged me like $5 for it if you want to look at that. The Hell Yeah album, it goes for about 20, 25, you know, so that pricing was about fair, but ultimately the Judas Priest and the INXS album were worth more money than I paid for them. So I tell my wife that, so she thinks I'm ahead. So I wander around, after I leave there, I wander around the rest of Flealand, and I don't find anything that's worth buying or anything that I would want. And there was something else at the first booth I wanted to look at, but he wanted 70 bucks for it. And I'm like, that is more money than I wanted to spend. Of course, I didn't want to spend all my money in one booth. So after I walk around and don't find anything, I go back to get it. He's got it listed showing 90 on Discogs, and it's 70. So I go back to pick it up. Mudvayne LD50. This is a 2017 Music on Vinyl press. Yeah, Music on Vinyl. Yeah, right there. Music on Vinyl press. It's got this cool booklet that came with it. It's got the front and back cover, but opens up and unfolds and has all of this in it. And it's on black vinyl. It's a double LP. LD50, by the way, Mudvayne's debut album. It's just black vinyl, but this album is killer. It's got Dig on it, and Dig is a big hit on there. Death Blooms is on here. Lethal Dosage, No Forever. I mean, just a fucking great album. And I've been looking at this, you know, and it was, you know, he had it listed according to Discogs at 90. His price at 70. When I went back, I said, I'm going to pick up this record. He says, you can have it for 60. So I come back, I put it on Discogs. Yeah, it's like 90 bucks. So I feel like I was way ahead on those records there. And that's what I did last weekend. After Flealand, we went on a cave tour and we did all kinds of other stuff. But, you know, that's not really about music here. So So that's what I just picked up. So that's how my week started. And then the week went on. And this week's been a bad week. This has been a bad week altogether. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into that, but we all know what happened. And it's just been a bad week for America altogether. And then September 11th is the anniversary and all that. And the whole week I'm just thinking, well, since Wednesday, I'm thinking, this is a bad week. This is terrible. I'm in a bad mood and all this. And I'm like, well, what always brings me up is music. And I was thinking, it's been such a bad week. This week between, the 5th and the 13th or whatever, this last week has just been a terrible week for those of us in America and partially parts of the world. I mean, things that happened just affected everybody, the anniversary of 9/11, everything else. And I thought, we need to get over this, and I need to look back at this week as not being terrible. So I decided to go back and look at music that came out the week between like the 5th and the 13th and what kind of records I had. So I'm going to show those now to show that this week hasn't always been terrible, because this week in September has gave us some great music over the years. So I'm going to start with, let's see here. I got my little notes here. With 1984, on the 7th of September, Queensryche released The Warning. This is a great record, progressive rock, 80s, metal, whatever you want to call it. I love this record. I've loved the song The Warning. The first time I saw these guys on MTV, when they did the video for The Warning, I was hooked on this band from that moment on. This is obviously an OG pressing. But yeah, so The Warning came out on the 7th of September in 1984. So that's a pretty good day right there, right? All right, then on the 8th, 1996, on the 8th, Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar comes out. And I don't know if you guys are fans of Manson. I'm not a huge fan of Manson, but I really kind of dig this record. This copy is an unofficial pressing. But, I mean, Irresponsible Hate Anthem. Let's see, what else is on here? Beautiful People's on here. Those are the big hits on here. Antichrist Superstar, The Man That You Fear, all of that on here. So that came out on the 8th of September in 1996. Now I jump ahead to the 10th of September, 1975. The 10th of September, the greatest live album of all time is released. Kiss Alive. You wanted the best, you got it. Kiss. This album's killer. I'll fight anybody. You can argue with me all you want. In my opinion, this is the greatest live album ever, in my opinion. And there are other great ones. I mean, there's ones I could put up there with it, Life After Death by Iron Maiden is right up there, But this, I really think Alive in 1975 on the 10th of September is this is one of those live albums that just iconic and just really had an effect on music and live records as a whole. And I really think Kiss Alive is one of those iconic records that really showed you can do it right when you do it live, and it doesn't have to sound terrible. So, all right, now we go to September 11th and 2001. Bad Day, 2001, September 11th. But also POD releases Satellite. And this is a Rocktober, Rhino Rocktober release. Pretty good record. It's got Set It Off and Alive and Boom and Youth of the Nation and all of that on here. This is a pretty cool record for that era of rock, and I do like this. I just don't spin this album quite enough. Also, September 11th, 2001, Slayer releases God Hates Us All. This comes out the same day as the World Trade Center happens, and it's kind of ironic that this is the title of this record on that same day. This is a killer Slayer album. Just great stuff all the way around. Of course, Slayer putting this out and all that happening that same day, it kind of, really blew a lot of people's minds or whatever. So, God Hates Us All. I know I just showed that recently because I just picked that up. So, and then September 11th of 2015, Slayer releases Repentless. This is the final studio album from Slayer, and which is shocking to think it's been 10 years since Slayer put this out. 10 years since the last Slayer studio album. They have put out a live album since then called The Repentless Killology, but this came out September 11th of 15. Okay, now where am I? On the 13th, 1988. Suicidal Tendencies, How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today. Trip at the Brain, Pledge Your Allegiance, How Will I Laugh Tomorrow. This is a great, great record. This is a indie exclusive sky blue vinyl, it says. There's the vinyl. It's got an inner sleeve on it. This is a great record. Suicidal Tendencies, one of those crossover thrash bands, punk type style. I just love this era of Suicidal. So this came out, like I said, well, hey, hang on. I lost it again. Oh, shit. Oh, there it is. On the 13th, 1988. Also, on the 13th, 1988, in America, this album was released. It was released in Europe earlier, King Diamond Them. I love this record. This is a great concept album. I've went in depth on this record on an episode back talking about the story. I think I did a concept albums thread or something like that and went into the story of what this story is. Great horror novel-esque. King's voices, that operatic falsetto, and just really, really cool stuff. I really, really dig this record. So, all right. And then on the, let's see, what else? Oh, I missed one on the 12th. This is on the 12th, 1983. Look, I went on to order 13th to 12th. Black Sabbath Born Again. And this album's great. I've mentioned this multiple times. I've shown this multiple times, but this came out on the 12th in 1983. This is a 1983 press. Oh, gee, I hear this is getting a remaster. We can only hope. I know it's muddled, and they didn't like the way it was mixed or whatever. So, but apparently Tony found the tapes, and I hear he's going to remix it and redo it. But I do like it, and the way it sounds, it's just of the time, I guess. Great album, only Sabbath album with Ian Gillan on vocals, just a killer record all the way around. And also on the 12th in 2008, Metallica releases Death Magnetic. I just barely picked this up, 6 months ago. I've listened to it. This is a way better record than I remember when it first came out. When this album first came out, I was just like, oh man, this is just Metallica trying to prove they can still play fast. This album isn't any good. This has no soul or whatever. The more I listen to it, the better it is. Just a really great album by Metallica after the era that I love, which basically ends at the Black Album, and it ends closer to Injustice for All for me. I never liked Load or Reload, but this is a really good record. So, yeah, Death Magnetic comes out in 2008 on the 12th of September. So there we go. Those are the records I have in my collection from this week to prove that this week in September isn't terrible. Things can be better. Look back. Things are good. We had great music this week and everything else, and we can't let all this other stuff bring us down. I was down. I got to admit, I was down. So, by going through this and saying, okay, look, man, Metallica releases records. Black Sabbath released a record. Kiss, Suicidal Tendencies, King Diamond, POD, all these bands, Slayer, and, just like all this great music that I love was released this same week. So that makes me feel better. So I'm glad you guys watched. This is pretty much all I had to say this week. Just showing some stuff, showing what I got or whatever. I try to put these out every week. Next week, I'm going to be out. My anniversary's coming up next week. 18 years that me and the wife have been married. We've been together longer than that, but 18 years anniversary, and we're heading out to Gatlinburg, and we're going to go out and do some hiking and see some touristy shit and whatever, so I will not be putting out a video next weekend. Maybe during the week if I get some time or if there's some threads or something else, I might throw something else out, but if not, I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Happy Saturday to you all. Cheers. Have a great weekend, guys, and hope next week is better for us all. Thank you very much for watching The Spirit of Vinyl. I'm Craig. I love you all. Have a great week all, and I will talk to you all later. Cheers all.